Hi everyone and welcome to my channel. There's been quite a hype surrounding the Soundcore Liberty 3 Pro since they were launched a couple of weeks ago, so as soon as they became available here in Ireland, I bought a pair for myself for €160 because I wanted to see whether the hype was actually justified or not. So if you want to hear my honest opinion on the Liberty 3 Pro, then stick with me after the intro. When it comes to their design, there is a lot you can say about the Liberty 3 Pro, but being low profile is not one of them. These are rather large buds with a weight of around 7.2 grams each, which makes them heavier than your average buds. But thanks to their ergonomic shape and the flexible ear wings, they can be really comfortable. And I say they can be comfy because I had to play a little mix and match with the 4 sets of silicone tips and wings in the box before I found both the fit and the comfort satisfyingly good. And due to the larger than average size and weight of the buds, it's paramount that you find the best fit possible for yourself too. I ended up using the small tips along with the small wings, and that combo gives me great long-term comfort and a snug enough fit so I can use the buds safely in the gym and I can take them out for a run as well. And that's where the IPX4 rating can come in handy, as it makes the Liberty 3 Pro sweat and rainproof. The earbuds are made from plastic except for the housing of the custom coaxial driver, aka ACAA 2.0, but more about that in a minute. So the buds are mostly plastic, but the build quality is first class. I kinda like their look, but some people might find the glossy finish a touch too flashy, and I wouldn't necessarily say they are wrong. But the buds look good regardless, and I love the fact that the earbuds and the case look almost identical, as the design is consistent across the board. And so is the build quality. The pebble-shaped battery case looks and feels premium. It is not the smallest I've seen, but it's certainly slim enough to fit in almost any pocket, so that's good. I also love the sliding mechanism which opens and closes the lid. It's springy and tight with only a minimal play when fully open. Another thing I like about the case is the matte coating, which almost feels soft to touch, and it does not collect fingerprints. Again, the build quality in general is very good, but I managed to peel off some bits of the Soundcore logo 2 days in, so not sure how durable the case is going to be in the long run. In terms of features, it supports the Qi wireless charging standard, it also has a USB-C port and a pairing button on the back, 3 battery status LEDs on the front and 2 on the inside, which light up when you open the lid. And the backlit buds look so cool. What's not so cool, however, is that I find it a bit too hard to take the buds out of the case. Maybe it's just my clumsy fingers, but I cannot get a proper grip on either of the buds unless I grab them by the ear tips, and I don't think it is the way you are supposed to do this. But if you manage to take the buds out and put them in your ears, you can enjoy your tunes for up to 8 hours with one charge, and the case can recharge the buds 3 additional times, making the total playtime 32 hours. That's with ANC turned off. If you want to use the active noise cancellation, and why wouldn't you, then you have to expect a shorter battery life of around 6 hours on a single charge and around 24 hours in total. 15 minutes of fast charging gives you 3 hours of use, so overall the battery department delivers a decent performance. As far as the wireless connection goes, we got Bluetooth 5.2, and beside the usual SBC and AAC audio codecs, the Liberty 3 Pro also supports LDAC, which explains the high-res audio certification. And the LDAC codec can sound really good due to its higher maximum bitrate and resolution, but it eats up your battery faster and it can cause momentarily signal cutoffs here and there. That can potentially ruin a good listening session even if you are on your own with not too many wireless devices around, but in busy places such as a gym, you better switch over to AAC in order to get a reliable and steady signal. And you can easily do that inside the Soundcore app, which also warns you about the possible downsides of using LDAC. But other than these LDAC related shortcomings, I did not experience any issues with signal strength and stability. Pairing is quick and easy, latency is non-detectable with movies and videos, but the buds are only recommended for casual gamers speakers due to the lack of a low latency gaming mode. Strangely enough, you get a game mode switch with the Soundcore Liberty P3, which costs only $80, euros or pounds, and that's exactly half the price of the Liberty 3 Pro. But we get a single bud mode on the Liberty 3 Pro, and even more importantly, multi-point use support is on offer here as well. It means that the buds can connect to two devices simultaneously with automatic switching between the two. So let's say you watch YouTube on your laptop and a phone call comes in, the buds will switch over to your phone and then switch back to the laptop. Well, it doesn't always switch back to my laptop after hanging up, but most of the time it does. And it works between different ecosystems such as an Android phone and an Apple laptop, for example. This cross-platform multi-point is something only Jabra earbuds could do in the past, so this is a welcome addition to the feature list of the Liberty 3 Pro. One little caveat is that LDAC has to be disabled in the app before you even try to connect the buds to multiple sources, as the codec is not compatible with multi-point use due to bandwidth limitations. And since we talk about limitations, I have to mention that LDAC is not supported on iOS at all, but that's hardly Soundcore's fault. And the three microphones on each bud can pick up my voice really well during phone calls in a quiet environment, and thanks to the AI uplink noise reduction technology, my voice retains its clarity even with some loud background chatter thrown in the mix. So this is what you can expect from the Soundcore Liberty 3 Pro when it comes to phone calls. The touch controls work pretty well, they are fast and easy to use. And we get unrestricted remapping options in the Soundcore smartphone app too. You can assign any function to any of the tapping actions, and you can disable or enable any of the single tap, double tap, triple tap or tap and hold options. You can control play, pause, volume, tracks, phone calls, your voice assistant, and you can even customize which ambient modes you want to toggle through using the touch controls on the buds. This is one of the best implementations I've seen regarding controls on any earbuds ever. And the smartphone app offers you a comprehensive set of other features too. There is a tip fit test for starters, which can determine whether you have a tight enough fit or not, and that can help you find the best combo of ear tips and wings I mentioned at the beginning of this video. There is also a wearing detection switch, which can disable the in-ear sensors on the buds if you don't want them to pause playback automatically anytime you take one or both buds out of your ears. And of course you find the usual features such as quick start guides, firmware updates and an auto power off timer too. You also get some settings regarding the LDAC codec, but the two real highlights of the show are the EQ settings, including a Hear ID test and the different ANC settings. Let's see the active noise cancellation first. You get three ambient modes: ANC on, normal and transparency. Normal is ANC off, so there is not much more to talk about. Transparency mode has two settings, one is fully transparent and the other one is vocal mode, which can block out certain frequencies so you can hear human voices better. Both modes sound natural without over-amplifying any of the surrounding noises, which I find okay, but if you want a more intense ambient mode, then these buds are probably not for you. You can turn wind noise reduction on and off in transparency mode, and it actually makes a tiny difference in terms of wind noise. You get the same option in ANC mode as well, but it works less efficiently there. Or I should rather say it doesn't really work there at all. So wind noise reduction is not great, but the active noise cancellation itself is very strong on the Liberty 3 Pro. You have to set it up by running the Hear ID ANC test first, and then you can choose whether you want to use the adaptive mode or the manual mode. The manual mode has a weak, a moderate and a strong setting, but in adaptive mode the algorithm will adjust the level of ANC for you according to the surrounding noise levels. It doesn't always work well, with some sudden jumps in the sound and in the ANC sometimes, so I opted for using the manual mode instead. And in the strong setting, the actual noise cancelling performance of the buds is great. It's a little bit better than what the Soundcore Liberty Air 2 Pro or the Beats Studio buds can do, for example, and it's easily one of the best you can get for under $200. It's exceptionally good at taming low-frequency rumbles, but in my ears I found the Edifier Neobuds Pro just a hair more efficient efficient when it comes to filtering out higher pitch noises. Also, the ambient mode is much more intense on the Edifier, but the general ANC performance of the two buds are very close to each other, and both of them can come close to the Sony WF-1000XM4 or the Bose QC earbuds, which are two of the absolute best in terms of ANC. Of course, the Sony and the Bose still have the edge, but the Liberty 3 Pro can get really close for a lot less money, so I believe you get a tremendous value with the Soundcore buds here. However, you still get a bit of a change in sound signature when jumping between ambient modes, but it's barely noticeable, so there is definitely some improvement on that front compared to older Soundcore models. But please keep in mind that the general performance of the ANC largely depends on the fit of the buds in your own ears, so your experience can greatly vary with any of these buds. And now let's talk about the EQ settings and the sound quality of the Liberty 3 Pro. ACAA 2.0 is the fancy name of Soundcore's latest generation coaxial driver setup, which consists of a 10.6mm dynamic driver and a customized balanced armature driver from Knowles. The former delivers you a powerful and deep bass, while the latter is responsible for the smooth and detailed treble. You get plenty different EQ options in the app, from presets to custom settings, and there is the Hear ID feature, which you can use to tailor the sound of the buds to your actual hearing. If you run the Hear ID test, you will hear different tones at different volume levels in each bud, and you have to tell whether you can hear a certain tone or not. Based on this test, the algorithm will create a custom profile for you, which you can keep tweaking until you get a sound signature that you like the most. I always loved Soundcore's comprehensive EQ features, and it is certainly one of the best on the market regardless of price. The only one thing I didn't like that much personally is this 3D surround sound mode, which might work okay with movies and games, but it absolutely destroys music for me, or at least it feels too artificial and unnatural to me with the types of music I tend to listen to. But regardless of this immersive 3D BS, you can really make your earbuds sound whatever you'd like them to sound with all these settings and options. But let me briefly analyze the actual sound of the earbuds with ANC off and also with the default Soundcore signature preset on, because that's how you will get the buds out of the box. So the ACAA 2.0 can deliver a massive bass with quite a deep extension and a powerful kick. It can be too much of a good thing for my taste, but bass heads will definitely love it, and it can sound quite energizing with certain genres, but other songs might require a little bit more of a balanced response. And by balance, I mean a touch more forward mids, which could give more clarity to the sound. I'm not saying we are missing out on details, but the vocals in particular could use a little boost here. The treble is lively and crisp with loads of fine details, which can be fatiguing for some, but I usually enjoy the extra sparkle as it doesn't feel overcooked. Since the buds can go really loud at full volume, I would never even come close to that during normal listening sessions, and keeping the volume at around 70 to 80% also guarantees that the high frequencies are kept under control and well in balance with the rest of the audio spectrum. The sound stage is wide and we get imaging with a pinpoint precision. Instrument separation is outstanding thanks to the two-way coaxial driver setup. And that's just the starting point, as thanks to all the EQ related features we already discussed, the sound of the buds can be tweaked to your liking. Now let's do some quick comparisons. I already mentioned the Edifier Neobuds Pro, as I consider these two buds to be close competitors in many regards. Their ANC performance is similar, but I already told you that. Both earbuds sport a dual driver setup with a dynamic driver and a balanced armature driver. The Liberty 3 Pro sounds more powerful, and it can get louder too. You get more bass and more high frequency details, while the Neobuds Pro are more flat sounding. And flat can either be a good thing or bad depending on your personal taste. And even though they both offer great separation and imaging, the Soundcore buds can create a much larger and more spacious soundstage with more air around the different elements of the music. The Soundcore app is much more sophisticated and offers more features and a crazy level of customization. The Edifier app is lacking both in terms of functionality and flexibility. Also, the touch controls work better on the Liberty 3 Pro, and their custom settings is second to none. But the Edifier buds have a low latency game mode, and you do not only get LDAC support with the Neobuds Pro, but you can also use the LHDC codec. Multi-point use, however, is only available on the Liberty 3 Pro. The two physical designs could hardly be more different, and while I like them both as far as their comfort goes, I feel like I got a tighter and more secure fit with the Edifier. That and the IP54 rating makes them a better choice for those who lead an active lifestyle in my opinion. The Edifier case is a bit thicker, but I feel like it's a bit more solidly built too. You don't get support for wireless charging with the Edifier, and the Liberty 3 Pro wins in terms of battery life as well. It's 24 hours in total versus 32 hours with ANC off. The Soundcore buds can also last longer with a single charge. The Edifier Neobuds Pro comes in at a lower price point at around $130, while the Soundcore Liberty 3 Pro cost $170 as of writing this review. And to prevent the flood of comments asking about a comparison to the Sony WF-1000XM4, here you go. First, the Sony buds cost at least $100 more, and that's something you would not necessarily realize if you didn't know it going in, and that says a lot already. But let's see the most important features one by one. Starting with the active noise cancellation, the Sony buds still have a slight edge with their stellar ANC performance, especially at higher frequencies, but Soundcore is just within an arm's reach now. Their musical performance, however, is a different story. I remember saying how bass-heavy the sound was of the XM4 in its own review, but compared to the Liberty 3 Pro, the bass feels almost thin on the Sony. That's how much bass you get from the coaxial drivers. But the mid-range comes through with more clarity on the XM4 in my opinion, and it makes the sound a bit more open and less dark than the Liberty 3 Pro. Both earbuds can deliver all the details in the treble region, but somehow I feel like everything sounds a bit more natural and precise on the XM4. Soundstage is a bit wider on the Soundcore, but both buds can get similarly loud. We get Bluetooth 5.2 with both buds, and of course the Sony XM4 supports their own LDAC codec too. And while LDAC playback seemed to be a touch more stable on the Sony to me, the Liberty 3 Pro scores a big one with multi-point use. The two buds are similarly sized, but I found the Soundcores a bit more comfortable in the long run, and I could only use the Sonys for exercise with the memory foam tips I got from Comply, as I was not 100% happy with their fit using any of the original ear tips in the box. Both buds are IPX4 rated though, so you get the same level of ruggedness. The Sony case is thicker but smaller in general, and both have matte coating, which I like a lot. Both cases can be charged wirelessly, but the total battery life is better on the Sony buds. It's 36 hours versus 32 with ANC turned off. You also get a longer single charge playtime with the XM4. And finally, both buds come with a very comprehensive feature set and a great smartphone app, but overall I believe the Sony app can offer more functions and settings, with the exception of the better EQ features and the more flexible touch control remapping options in the Soundcore app. Phone call quality is kind of crappy on the Sony, so that's an easy win for the Liberty 3 Pro. And as you can see, $100 price difference or not, these two buds can perform equally well in most areas, with some differences here and there, and of course it all depends on your personal preferences too, but I believe that the Liberty 3 Pro is a much better value and a better buy without a doubt. I could also compare the Liberty 3 Pro to the Beats Studio buds for example, but other than the more comfortable fit and their low profile design, there are no other areas where the Beats Studio buds could really compete with the Soundcore. There is also the One More Comfort Buds Pro or the Soundcore Liberty Air 2 Pro, but again, neither of those two buds stand a chance against the Liberty 3 Pro. Maybe from a fitness enthusiast's point of view, the JBL Reflect Mini NC could beat the Soundcore with its IPX7 rating and the better fit, but the Liberty 3 Pro wins easily in every other scenario against the JBLs. I haven't been able to test the new JBL Reflect Flow Pro, which is supposed to be a step up from the Mini NC, so that comparison will have to wait. And I also have a few other earbuds at hand which come in under $200 each and can offer similar features as the Soundcore, and I mean some Lipertech, Sennheiser, Jabra and LG buds, but those reviews are not quite completed yet, so I will probably do quick comparisons in their respective videos, so if you don't want to miss out on any of that, then you better subscribe to my channel right now. But it's time to wrap up this review. The Soundcore Liberty 3 Pros are exceptional earbuds. I mean, their ANC is one of the best, if not the best in the category, their smartphone app is clearly top of the class, their touch controls offer utmost flexibility and great usability, and their sound is exceptionally good too. Battery life is decent, and we get wireless charging too. The buds look handsome, phone calls are clear, long-term comfort is good, and the fit is snug enough for most physical activities. Multi-point use and LDAC support are just icing on this cake. And these buds don't cost $300. They don't even cost $200. And to be honest with you, now I understand the hype around the Soundcore Liberty 3 Pro, as for $170 you can get one of the most advanced and feature-rich earbuds today on the market. And this was my review of the Soundcore Liberty 3 Pro. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I'm ready to answer all your comments, so feel free to share your thoughts and questions down below. Thanks for watching, see you next time.